The Ice King and the Witch by Snapdragon4life385. Once upon a time, there was an ice kingdom in Shiver-Chill Mountains. The kingdom was beautiful, with sparkling structures of ice and a great castle made of pure crystals. An Ice King ruled it with an iron fist. He wielded his staff of winter and proudly wore his frozen crown. He would never go anywhere without his staff. He was a proud but deeply troubled king. He was strange, behaving as his actions weren't his own. And in his unhappiness, his subjects were also unhappy. They tried to keep their king happy, but he could never be satisfied. The Ice King would turn them into frozen statues with his staff of winter. Everyone lived in constant fear under his rule. Until one day, a witch, nervous but determined, made her way to the ice castle doors. There was a competition for wizards and witches. If a wizard or witch impressed the Ice King, he or she would become his royal advisor. The massive doors slowly opened. As she stepped inside, there was no turning back now. She was ushered to a large silver arena by the Ice King's servants, where she stood among other wizards and witches. It seems like the entire kingdom gathered in the arena to watch. The king sat proudly on his balcony, overlooking the courtyard. It was hard to read his expression from down below. The Ice King explained the rules. The wizards, witches, have to display their knowledge and power of all elements in a battle. The losers would be turned into frozen statues. The last one standing would be named champion. When the trumpet rang, all chaos broke loose. Everything was a blur. She remembered bits and pieces of blasting astral spells and fire spells against anyone who got in her way. One by one, wizards and witches dropped like flies. Soon, she was the only one. Cheers echoed across the arena, but they didn't sound so rewarding. She looked at all the wizards and witches lying on the ground. She saw in their faces desperate pleas for help before the Ice King flew down and turned them all into statues. He regarded her with a cold smile. This was the moment she longed for, but she hesitated. She has been training non-stop since the day he took her family. If she faltered now, she would join her family, the other wizards and witches, and the hundreds of other unfortunate statues. No, she cannot. Not after everything. She had never been so close to the Ice King in person. She saw his face was contorted in pain as he spoke with a calm tone. She lowered her gaze to his staff, which was gleaming with a strange light. It was a faint purple color, the color of evil, shadow magic. There was a cry as the staff was struck from his hand and fell onto the ground, shattering into pieces. Shocked cries rang out from the crowd. Her eyes opened wide as she realized it was her voice who cried out at the sight of what she'd done. For 3 heartbeats, the Ice King said nothing. She stared as he dropped to his knees and laughed. He looked up at her for the first time in what seemed like forever. "Thank you," he said breathlessly. "I got the staff of the Order of Influence, hoping to gain a massive amount of power. But I was so young and foolish. For years I was enslaved by the spirit in that staff, forcing me to do its bidding. I had no control over my body, but you saved me." She felt her trembling body ease with every word he said. She smiled for the first time in years. "Can you free my family?" she asked quietly. He reached for his crown and held it in his hands. "I promise I will fix all of this," he assured her. "I vow to never be so selfish and serve my kingdom for the greater good, starting with you." The king, with his remaining magic, unfroze her family, all the wizards, witches, and citizens from previous years. As time went on, he repaid everyone who he had caused harm. The witch lived in a special place in the king's castle with her parents and brothers, where she found peace and happiness. The dark fog of fear that surrounded the kingdom vanished, and the nice king went on to be known as a kind and generous king for history to come.